Hi, everyone. Welcome to the e-NABLE Town Hall meeting for October 2nd, 2015. This is the weekly meeting where team leads and community members are able to update the community on what's happening. I'm Justine Diamond, your host for this week's meeting. Please remember that you can ask questions through the Q&A feature. You'll find the Q&A at the upper right hand of your screen. Just click on the grid of 9 boxes. If you're watching on certain devices, such as an iPad, you may find you can't access the Q&A. Questions can also be posted to the event page in the comments section. We'll monitor both as we go on and answer the questions as best we can. If we don't get to your question, we'll try and put the answer into the comments on the post. If there's something you would like to share with the community at an upcoming town hall, or if there's someone you think should speak at the town hall, please let me know. You can email me at events.enable@gmail.com. So this past weekend was the World Maker Faire in New York. I ran that. It was a fabulous event. Our table was swamped with people the entire time we were there. We were tucked away in the back of a health tent, but people found us. And according to Maker Faire staff, a lot of people asked where we were and were looking for us. The booth was a great success in no small part due to the efforts of Winnie Chu. She arranged for some of her OT students from NYU to come and help us out at the booth. And what they did was they set up a bunch of different carnival games that people could play wearing various hands. So each game required people to use one of the hands in a different way to do some sort of task. It was a lot of fun. It was very engaging. It was a great way to educate the public. People got a real feel for what we do and what the devices are like and the strengths and weaknesses of different devices. Interestingly enough, it was interesting for me to see we had demo hands of several different hands. It was interesting for me to see which hands worked best at which tasks. Truly, once people actually get their hands on a hand, it's when they really get what we do, and you can see it in their faces. So I was really happy with how everything went at the fair. I've brought a lot of things away with me that I think I can help other people who want to run an event. I met a lot of great people. I made some connections at schools that want to get involved with us, and I'm looking forward to doing that. There's lots of stuff that's going on the calendar. I think the easiest way to do that is I am going to just share the page that has the calendar on it for a minute so you can see that. So if you just give me 1 second, I will set that up. So let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. You can see here, this is the calendar. You can find it under, now I forget where it is. There it is, on Get Involved, Events. It's initially presented in an agenda format, but you can change that to see it by the week, to see it by the month. Go back to agenda. So you can see yesterday was a print-a-thon down in New Zealand and Australia. If you just click on any event, you'll get more information on it, and you can also copy it to your calendar. So 11:50 a.m., that's all of the times on this are Eastern Standard Time. It's just something that the calendar does. I can't change that to make it local, but if you click on this, you'll see that John Schul is speaking right now at the ISPO, actually right now as we're doing this. So if you go through here, any events that should be added that are not here, please let me know and I will get them on here as quickly as possible. I will now just stop sharing this. We'll get back to updates. Marla Parker can't be with us today, but she's asked me to let you know that we are working with the foundation is working with Concentric Health Experience to create, to rebuild and create a new website for the foundation. So that should be rolled out relatively soon. And we're looking for photos. So if you've got photos, if you could share them, there's a post in the community with information about how to do that to upload them to a shared Google Drive. That's pretty much all I've got today, and I guess we'll move on to Melina.
So I do want to say thank you to Justine for such the wonderful job she did and so much work that she put in for the Maker Faire. And what she didn't tell you is that they were awarded the Editor's Choice ribbon. which is a wonderful thing. So I think she created something that is a good path for other people to take when they put on maker fairs, because it was lovely to watch everyone interact with each other, and some of us actually got to meet each other for the first time, which is wonderful. So something to watch out for in the near future. Justine and I are working on putting together a list of tasks, small and large, depending on how much time you have and how much you want to contribute, that everyone can work on and claim, and help us work on some of the back-end things that need to be accomplished. And hopefully we'll have those up in the next week or so. We're working on a way to track those things and make it easier for everyone to become involved. This weekend is the Atlanta Maker Faire, so if anyone's around there, I know I'll be going on Sunday, and then Lance Tankersley will be there tomorrow. But that is about all I have this week.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was great. This at the Maker Faire, I got to meet both Melina and Maria, which was great. And before I hand you over to Peter for stuff on the R&D, I'd like to just say that we did have an osprey that John Diamond and I had printed at our table, and it was a very popular hand for people to look at and play around with. But one thing we did was, because we had to reprint all the osprey fingers, because we just ended up having to reprint them, we had 5 fingers on the table that were just the finger with the monofilament line. And they were the most popular thing. People picked them up because you could hold them in your hand and pull. You could see exactly how they worked. And it was a great thing to have. They were really popular to have. The other thing we had were K1 fingers, so we could show how they print and how the joint is integral. And one thing people like to do with those was they put on a hand, and once they pick up a water bottle, the more challenging thing was to try and pick up one of the fingers. So those were just 2 things that worked really well at the fair. So anyway, Peter, it's all you.
Great. Well, I'm plugging away a little bit every day on the Osprey. Like I said before, I'm trying to flesh out documentation. The bracer, the leather bracer, is I think the next big lesson. And I think that's the one thing probably that people are getting stuck on the most. And I'm also making a thermoform bracer for the Osprey. I figure everybody's doing it now. I should I should give it a go as well. So that's coming along. It should be hopefully we'll see how it goes. I need to actually form some of the. I printed a couple of them, and they look like they should form all right. But nice to hear Osprey's getting good feedback at the Maker Faire. Peregrine loves it. He uses these devices, and it's actually his favorite now. I think he's wearing it more than he wears his Talon even. So I think that says a lot. The R&D hangout was this Monday, and I didn't get to watch all of it, but Keith Johnson did talk a little bit about a project he's working on. He's doing some myoelectric exploration, and he's got a really interesting model that he's working with. He's trying to animate. It's a skeleton-looking hand, and it has both flexion, extension, and abduction, adduction of the finger joints, which it's not a very robust design at this point, but I think that there are some features that maybe could be brought into other designs. So I thought that was pretty exciting. I was actually in some conversation with Keith a little bit earlier, and he is actually really an expert on leather. So if you want any information on different kinds of leather and the different properties, his family owns a shoe manufacturing factory plant in Mexico. They make custom shoes. So I thought that was pretty incredible, really. Anyway, if you have questions about leather, of course you can ask me, but I'd like to give a shout out to Keith and just say that, if you have any questions about leather, he's really quite an expert. So that's about it for me this week. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the R&D hangout. They're pretty long when they come on, and they're past my bedtime, so it's hard for me to attend. I fall asleep like in my chair if I try to attend them. But anyway, any questions, feedback, concerns? That's my report for the week.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think we have any questions yet. I'm just double checking. Oh, we do. Keith says thank you to Peter. He says he's getting some leather samples this week. And Vishal has asked, does e-NABLE concentrate only on upper limb prosthetic devices? What about lower limbs? I think we are upper limbs and not lower limbs. I'm not sure who's doing the lower limbs. Someone else may have an answer on that, but also we're going to go over to Maria if you're ready. Then we can get back to this.
I can address the question on lower limbs a little bit. I think John gave a really good answer. If you look at the town hall meeting from 2 weeks ago, he has a much better answer than I can give right now. But the main thing is that with a lower limb device, when they fail, the person falls. And with an upper limb device, when the device fails, they drop what they're holding on to. So the consequences for failure of a device are much greater when you deal with lower limb devices. So that's one of the reasons we've stayed away from it. And John has a couple other reasons that I can't think of off the top of my head, but that to me is the biggest concern.
Okay.
To tag on to what Peter had just said, this is Maria, that when the FDA was looking at the work of the community and the different devices, well, we fall under what they call a class 1, but we're experimental devices that they are not powered. They're using the control of, they're using the muscles of the wrist or the elbow, so they're human powered. But also the fact that they were upper limb devices was what came into play in that review when they were not going to opt to get involved with regulating these sorts of things. It would have been a different issue if we were working with lower limb prosthetics. There was that high risk. So, if you would like to see the commentary from the FDA, that was part of the Prosthetics Meets Printers conference. The statements are there. So, great. So, again, my name is Maria. I'm so glad people are able to join us on this or to hear these recordings. I love getting the updates from people who are actually working on devices. So I'm glad, Peter, you're able to be here. And just again, a shout out to Justine. Melina and I are really happy to be at Maker Faire, but she made it so great to be there. She had done so much work, and John had also created a wonderful board where he had exploded the view of how these pieces are put together in order to assemble. In that case, it was a raptor, and then he also had oversized the pieces for the Whipple tree and was able to create an interactive board for people to explain that. So that exhibit, for demonstration purposes, was so hands-on and really elicited a lot of interaction and conversation. It was wonderful to be part of that. Melina was with me also for the NCAD Global Summit for Board Leaders, where we were able to talk to people from all over the world about the work that we're doing and about the prospects of partnering with people and getting these devices to more places, and to create a pathway also for people who need these devices to be able to communicate that need to us, which was terrific. And we're also looking forward this week to the feast. I wanted to thank Johnny Fala for staffing that for us. In light of the weather, it's great to be able to turn over the exhibit to him, but that's also where we're going to be launching some of these design challenges, which give people a chance to tell us what we're not doing, to tell us also how they envision making these devices more personal for themselves, or to create a wonderful device for their favorite thing to do. And as part of that, I'm hoping that everybody will leave their mark on the community. It'll be something that you'll be able to go back to a catalog and point to their device, their design, but it also gives people who are responding to requests a look at different points of view and how people think that they would like to use the device. And it will inspire better design. It also helps us know what people are interested in, so that we're able to hopefully invite more people to get engaged with research and development, get engaged with design, and to create something new. So if you're interested in going to the feast, that's going to be at the Brooklyn Expo Center. That's 72 Noble Street in Brooklyn, and the challenge will be during the lunch hours over on Sunday the 4th. Last thing I wanted to also say was that we were lucky enough to visit with Stockton University and to see what the students were doing there, what the other educators were doing there. A fascinating look at the also the setup for the sustainability program there, as they get ready to look at getting a makerspace of their own. And if people are engaged in that kind of activity in their schools or universities, I would really like to invite you to work with the e-NABLE Educators Exchange. And with that segue, I'll turn this over to Rich.
Thanks very much, Maria. So not a ton of new things to report from the E3 STEAM this week, but that's only because the excellent things that have been happening over the last month or so just continue to help happen. So we have educators from as low as second grade all the way up to postdoctoral work happening, interest from teachers who are looking to incorporate e-NABLE into their classroom. We continue to see teachers registering for the E3 STEAM, and so we now have over 60 educators registered for that. And so if there are any educators out there that are listening to this, please find the registration on our website under the Get Involved tab, and just get in the database so that we can start connecting educators in the different groups, whether it's elementary, high school, or college level, to each other. A couple of things that are coming up. We have a confirmed webinar that will be happening with the Buck Institute for Education on October the 27th at 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time. That will be looking at a deeper analysis of the role of e-NABLE in project-based learning and authentic project-based learning. So more information on that coming up. I mentioned this last week, but we have an article coming up in the International Educator, which goes out to international schools around the world, and hopefully we'll see a nice response from the international schools in terms of continuing to help us globally scale the work. We continue to see colleges approaching us to get information about starting chapters, and just a shout out to Joe Fairley, who is doing great work in terms of helping colleges, guide colleges through their chapter setup. Justine and I had a great conversation yesterday with Farmingdale College in New York, just to hear about their interest in starting a chapter, but also an offer they made to help us with printing components. And this is something that we're starting to see a little bit more of, our schools that want to be involved with e-NABLE and want to be building hands, but perhaps don't have an access to a 3D printer. And so I'll just put a pitch out there for more schools and colleges like Farmingdale who are offering their printers up to be essentially parts factories to be able to print components, and we'll set up a list of addresses of schools where people can send components so that we can get students actually building hands without having 3D printers. And what we're often finding is that work can often then lead to grant writing or schools starting crowdfunding campaigns to get their own printers in their school. So that's one really interesting side of bringing e-NABLE into a school, that it can often be leveraged for a community to show a school or a board or parents in a community that 3D printers can be used for more than just printing name tags and keychains. So for any schools that are thinking of possibly going in this direction, getting a little bit of work under your belt can help make a case for a 3D printer. I also want to just put, last week I put a little request on the Google Plus community for people who are looking to work on their design skills. We're looking for people to help design an education device that can be used to teach students how to just the principles behind the e-NABLE hands. So we're looking for something that can be printed quickly and easily, yet still shows the principles behind the standard e-NABLE hands. So look through the Google community post if you're interested in doing that. And this week, I'm actually at my school, Brookwood. I now have about 12 students of my own that are going to be starting an e-NABLE project here for the year. So I'm, on a personal level, excited about that. That's about it for this week.
Thank you very much. We have another question from Rajendran, who says, any suggestions for e-NABLE volunteers participating in Barnes & Noble Mini Maker Faire? My son Vishak has submitted his application to participate in it and waiting for them to get back. He's planning to have people assemble hands at the Mini Maker Faire. I've seen the signs at the Barnes & Noble. I'm going to talk to my own Barnes & Noble as well. And I do know there are a few people who are planning on presenting there. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. You can do assembly. You can just do education and display. If you want to send me an email at events.enable@gmail.com, I can help point you to some other resources we've got of things you can print out if you've got access to a printer, or you can ask within the community, because the Mini Maker Faire for Barnes & Noble is that first weekend in November. And if anybody else wants to get involved with the Barnes & Noble Mini Maker Faire, get in touch with me and we'll see what we can do to help you put together a concise sort of display, because I don't know how much room they're actually going to be able to give people. Does anybody have anything else? I don't think that clears our questions. We're early. We still have some time. We can wait a couple of minutes just to see if anybody has any questions, and we'll answer them. And I would like to add that although Rich said about printing name tags, we actually did that for all the volunteers who came to the Maker Faire, and it was just really nice to be able to give everybody a name tag with the e-NABLE logo on it and their name. So it was a nice thing that we did. Okay. Just to seeing if we have any other questions. I don't think anybody else here has anything to add. John can't be with us. John Schul can't be with us because he's speaking right now. So we're going to close. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Until then, happy printing.